Gateway Gamers podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Gateway Gamers podcast. My name is Brian, here once again with my co-host, RP the Great.
That is me, the great
The Great.
Bambino.
The Great Bambino. Mutant power, if you could pick one.
100%. I would just be a carbon copy of Wolverine. I have said since I was a kid, I remember in 6th grade, I think it was, I was talking about this. What power would you have? And I just always thought it would be so awesome. Somebody's just pissing you off, and you just in the 3. That sounded more like a whip.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Snicked. That's how it's always spelled.
That's how it's spelled.
Snicked.
Come out and be like, "What'd you say, bub?" And then also, I have a bleeding disorder, so his healing factor would be perfect,
beneficial.
So I've always just been a very big Wolverine. I loved Hugh Jackman's portrayal. Wolverine's awesome. So I've always just said, it's funny you asked that question. I had a perfect answer. It's always been it. Nothing else. I don't want anybody else's powers. How about yourself?
Probably Magneto. I think it's a very versatile power.
Yes.
Like magnetism. You can float. You can move stuff around. Apparently, I can make you drink a bunch of metal and then rip it out of you.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot you could do. Either that or teleportation.
Yeah, I was going to say my other one would have been Nightcrawler.
Yeah, I feel like teleportation is just useful. And
still
cool.
One of the coolest openings to any superhero film
X2.
ever is X2. Yeah.
The reason we're talking about X-Men is because this is a board game podcast where a veteran like me introduces the world of board games to a moderate to medium player, once a noob, now a man, an X-Man.
An X-Man.
And if you're reading a title, this is Marvel United X-Men.
The sequel to the popular board game Marvel United from CMON and Spin Master.
CMON and Spin Master. If you've been listening for a long time,
it's one of our first 10 games.
Yeah, and a game that we've talked about a lot with Kickstarter and how it kind of has come about. If you're a new listener, welcome, and go back and listen to that episode after this one. Don't hit pause yet.
Yeah.
So let's give a rundown of X-Men. Or I want to call it X-Men United, but it's not. It's Marvel United X-Men.
It says X-Men United on the box.
Nope. Marvel United X-Men. Look at the box. Look at the back of the box. Now look at the front. Marvel United X-Men in the top corner. You're right. I call it X-Men United.
You're just calling it like you say it.
That's right. Marvel United X-Men MSRPs for $35. Came out in 2021 after a successful Kickstarter launch that I sunk about $200 into. This is just a base box we're going to be talking about today. Plays for about 40 minutes. 1 to 5 players. Designed by Eric Lang, Andrea Chiarvicio. Published by CMON and Spin Master. This is a co-op hand management game. Co-op is where it is you and another player versus the game itself. So RP and I are allies, not enemies. And hand management is a game system where you're controlling your hand of cards. So it's a lot of card play in this game, as we'll kind of talk about. If you listen to our Marvel United episode, we were very high on that game.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed it. Our one biggest thing that we talked about was very easy.
Yeah.
Very, very, very easy. I think a lot of people said that game was easy. The villains, Ultron, Red Skull, Taskmaster, were just not bland, but they all three of them kind of had the same mechanic to beat them. And it was just whatever. All the heroes felt very samey. It was a great game, but it just needed more. They listened.
Yeah, for sure. So we've talked on here that I got the Guardians of the Galaxy expansion.
Yeah, for Marvel, yeah.
Ronan's tough for his similar. Maybe one day we'll cover that and we can talk about it.
I want to talk about every box in a Kickstarter eventually.
Yeah, I think it would be great. I think it'd be a lot of fun, and if they get tired of it, whatever. But we enjoy it, and so we will. But one day he was a very different villain, and I would agree they did listen.
Yeah,
in terms of with this, because that kind of came out around the same time. This was a full year later.
Yeah, a full year or two later. They got a lot of feedback from the first Marvel United because the base box of Marvel United, as we said, was simple, but every Kickstarter villain and hero felt wildly different and amazing. but you peasants can't get that.
Nope.
Only us gods that
Not me.
backed
You.
it on Kickstarter and almost got divorced because of how much I was spending on a board game.
Well, for the most part, because they had said that some of this was coming to retail and some of it wasn't. But then the Spider-Man box came to Amazon, which I did buy the Spider-Man box. It was a 2-pack, though, so I had to sell my copy of Marvel United, an extra copy, to get the Spider-Man thing and a Doctor Strange figure, and that was kind of the main reason why I did it. And that was weird, and because they promised that it wasn't coming to retail.
Yeah, they did. They pulled some weird stuff, and I don't know if it's because either the Kickstarter wasn't as successful as they hoped, or something else happened. I don't know.
Because they made a ton of money.
Yeah, so in the original Marvel United Kickstarter, they had a bunch of expansions. The only ones they said were not coming to retail was the Infinity Gauntlet, and there was another one. Each one
Sinister Six?
Maybe. Yeah, that might have been it. They said that every other one would come to retail. So Spider-Man, Thor, Black Panther, like all the ones that you'd want to come to see in the store, they promised were going to come to retail eventually, which is absurd as well, because I can't imagine going to Target and having like all these boxes lined up.
I mean,
I guess they do with Villainous.
But I was just going to say they do it with Villainous, but there were so many more, and they're, again, just like Villainous, essentially all the same, but a little bit different. And it makes sense to make that Kickstarter exclusive and just have the main box and maybe another box.
Yeah.
But to release everyone, that's
kind
of a lot.
So when the original one came out, I got the exclusive one, so I got the Infinity Gauntlet, I got the Sinister Six one, and that was kind of it, because I said, eventually I get them retail. Why am I going to spend all this money for shipping and everything else? They're going to come to store eventually. So I got everything eventually. A year later, it all came in. It was beautiful. All my pieces were perfect. I think Quicksilver was busted, but who cares about Quicksilver? He's still broken in a box somewhere.
It's the MCU version of Quicksilver.
Yeah, he's dead.
He's dead.
So, and I've got my money's worth. I've played Marvel United ad nauseum. I haven't played as every character still, so there's still possibilities for me to play.
There's still scenarios that I would very much like to play with you. I would love the versus Sinister Six, the Infinity Gauntlet, and then I have ones that you haven't played either.
Yeah, so come maybe a year and a half later, they announced they're doing Marvel United X-Men. Fervor was high because one of the biggest things about the Marvel United set was, where's Wolverine?
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, so people just assumed because Marvel didn't own Fox at the time that they weren't doing the X-Men, the mutants, blah, 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 all that insider stuff. So they announced the next box, but also you could get all the Kickstarters from the first one as well, and they put little asterisks on them, only available on Kickstarter. So all of a sudden they changed their tune and said, hey, remember we promised these all come to retail? They're not. And they're $10 more if you buy them this time around. So I had to pay more if I wanted to get all that stuff. But they did say the Spider-Man one was coming to retail. It came to Amazon only with the original box and a Doctor Strange.
Yeah, as a bundle. And it was just the other, I think I paid $30. It was available the other day for $20 a 2-pack.
So I'm almost tempted. Well, I guess not. You have Spider-Man if I ever need to play, but
don't get it.
Yeah, if it ever drops cheap enough, I'll grab it, and then maybe we'll do a giveaway.
The Goblin figure's cool.
I know. Shut up. And then maybe we'll give away Marvel United in a giveaway or something.
I thought about it.
So, and then the next wave of Marvel United X-Men stuff came out, and the figures looked even cooler. There's the chibi style, not really like chibi style, but they're very cartoony, but they're detailed and fantastic looking, and they were dropping Sentinels. They were dropping, eventually dropped Fantastic Four, which got you and I in a fervor. It made no sense that the Fantastic Four in the X-Men box. We were like, F it, who cares? Back, take my money now.
FF it.
FF it. I jumped in. I didn't go all in because there were some sets I did not care about. I ended up grabbing sets from the first expansion. I grabbed Thor and another one. You got the Guardians of the Galaxy one. I got a giant box of X-Men. This one I have not played as much. And it's not from me not wanting to, it's just time.
It takes a lot to set it up. This is a game that we talked about before, that there's a lot required in getting it going, and then I always forget parts of this game, so I always have to reference either our past episode or I reference YouTube. And real quick, the one thing about that Spider-Man one that came to retail, it didn't have Spider-Pig.
Oh, he was Kickstarter exclusive.
Yeah, so that was annoying. But this is a game that I texted you after so I bought X-Men United off of Amazon because I was playing Marvel United a lot, and I was like, I really want this, and I've played it a couple times. This is a game that has easily jumped into my top games. I love this game so much, so I was like, I got to check out the X-Men one. So I ordered a copy, even though you had your own, and here we are. I have the game as well. The characters in this main box are... you want to go through them?
Yeah. We have, for the heroes, we have Wolverine, Cyclops, Beast, Professor X, Storm, and Jean Grey. For the villains, we have Juggernaut, Sabretooth, Magneto, and Mystique. And the cool thing that they added... Magneto and Mystique are playable as anti-heroes. They could be good guys. So all the heroes are blue, villains are red. These two characters are purple, identifying that you could play them.
So is this exclusive to the X-Men run, or did they do that in the first set of expansions? So this is exclusive to this run?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully if they do more expansions, this will be something going forward. Because why not? And
I don't think they're going to do anymore. What are they going to do? Inhumans?
Maybe not like a Marvel or like here, but they could do like Star Wars. I don't know.
Sure. I thought you meant Marvel.
Yeah, but they could do like Power Rangers. I don't know. Just spitballing. But why not? Why couldn't they do more Marvel characters? How many?
I feel like they did every character.
You think they would, but they didn't. So something for me to be all pissy about is at Gen Con, I think.
I was just... Yeah. You know, it's funny when you said why couldn't they do more? I was like, well, they did just put out more.
Yeah, so little boo-hoo me paying all this money for a Kickstarter. If you want the Gen Con, they gave away Juggernaut as an anti-hero, and then they also gave away, at another convention, Grey Hulk. So you just play as the Hulk you have. But use like these Joe Fix-It gray cards, and he's awesome. Like looking at but I mean, if I wanted to, I could print them out and I could just go on BGG. I'm sure someone has them. I could print them out and play. I can do whatever I want.
But it's not the same.
It's not the card stock.
So
and the smell
and the colorful art. You got to do it yourself. You got to color it in. Nobody has a color printer anymore.
Not a good one.
So kind of right off the bat, is there anything about this game that is different than the game we already covered? Like truly unique to this one? Or is it kind of the same mechanics? Like off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything that makes it unique other than the locations and the characters, which again, it just makes it, you want to have everyone because you want to play at all these locations.
No, it's pretty much the same. I'll give a super quick run of the gameplay just because we have covered it before. So if you want a full review of gameplay and mechanics, you can go back to that. But it's as you said, you fight one villain. They have their own specific goal, and they either complete that goal or they kill you, and that's how you lose. Each character has a unique special deck that they have that's unique to them, and it's specific to their playstyle. And then you have a gridded map of six cards around the board, and your characters jump from space to space. There's civilians on there. There's little baddies you could fight, and then each one has a card specific to whatever villain you're facing. That if you end your turn there, you just read it. It tells you either you're stuck here, or it costs 2 extra to jump from that spot. And then your ultimate goal is to beat up the villain. Beat him up until he has no health and he gets knocked out. You accomplish that by unlocking 2 of the 3 scenarios you have to complete, which is good because every character it's the same 3 scenarios. So it's you save, I want to say like 12 civilians.
Yeah, 12 civilians beat 12 heroes. Unlock.
No, save 12 civilians, 12 henchmen.
Yeah, or thugs.
Or thugs, yeah.
And then unlock 4 locations.
Yeah, beat 4 the locations, which is just a certain card.
Yeah.
Tokens
It's a
you kind of
token
play,
thing on the card when you beat the level, like you beat that card. That's what we call it, the level. And then they're arranged in a sequence of 3 on your villain mat, and each one unlocks a certain thing. The villain is not vulnerable to damage until the second tier is unlocked. So it is strategic. It can very much affect the outcome of your game if you put maybe save 12 here civilians first and then beat 4 locations, because when I did play as Guardians of the Galaxy, that's what hindered me and took me to the very last round, was the way that those were laid out. Which I find that very interesting, because that's something very small that can change the entire dynamic of the game.
So that's pretty much it. I mean, each character, their cards, they have, I think, 4 or 5 different symbols. You have a fist, which is attack, pretty easy, generic. There's like a wild card symbol, which is just all the colors of the different things. You have an arrow, which makes you move. A star, which is like a special ability.
It's either a special ability or saving
civilian. Like a civilian. Yeah, it's doing an action. It's an action point. And that's it. So each character has some sort of rotation of that. They also have special powers, which might be like Professor X gives you is the leader of sorts, so he'll give you tokens for you can use later. Wolverine is a brawler. He has a lot more attack, a lot more move and attack, where he'll lunge to a space and then attack immediately, which is exclusive to him. Cyclops, also a leader. He gives a lot of tokens to other characters that they can use.
That's what I thought. What I thought was unique more about this game is that there's a lot more special abilities in this version of the game than the Marvel, at least the Marvel base box, and that can really benefit your game and how you're more strategic in the way that they come out.
Yeah, like Storm.
They're exclusive too, so Storm can put this down, and you know how if me and you are playing, you can use the previous card. You can't use that special ability, only I can.
Yeah.
However, very beneficial to the game.
Yeah, like Storm is a person that helps you move a lot. Like with her whirlwinds, she has like a lot of movement. She'll give characters movement. I think Beast can like change certain tokens and other tokens easily. So if he but if the person before you plays a movement, he can change it to an attack. Yeah. So that's one. I think that was the most unique thing when we talked about this game before that we really enjoyed, was this is a co-op where you have to communicate. This is a team game where you feel like you're on a team. So when you're playing cards, you're creating what's called a storyline. You're laying all the cards out. If you get the playmat, which I didn't do, the cards go like around the board. You need a gigantic table, so I didn't get that. We just play just the cards in front of us and then just stack them on top of each other. So we'll say I'm Wolverine. I play the Wolverine card. He has 2 fists, so I can attack twice. RP has Cyclops. He puts down Cyclops, which has an arrow and a star on it. He also has access to the tokens on Wolverine's card as long as they're not special powers. So Cyclops that turn can use the 2 attack from Wolverine plus his movement and special. So that's where the communication is, where it's like, I'm going to do this. What do you want to do next turn? Where it's like, I want to go here to save a civilian, but I need blah, blah, blah. So it's good communication. And then the next card is, let's say Wolverine again. I'm Wolverine again. I move. I have a movement tile. I can only access Cyclops. I can't go 2 back.
Yep. And then the villain card comes out.
Yeah, and then the villain card's randomly drawn, and it's usually just
he moves
a map of which either counterclockwise or clockwise, how many spaces. If a BAM activates, which is the villain's specific like special, and then how many civilians or henchmen pop out. And that's pretty much it. You're just kind of going around, saving civilians, stopping henchmen, and thwarting whatever their special scenario is. And that's where this box really shines. These scenarios are hard.
Yes.
So for Sabretooth, a character randomly gets like a hunt token. So if you know Sabretooth, he's basically a hunter. He's Wolverine, but like light. Wolverine light.
Yeah.
More animalistic.
Yep.
So he basically in the comic he can like smell better and hunt you down. So that's what he does. The person who has the hunted token will take like extra damage if he attacks you. Eventually, if you get KO'd with that token, it moves to the next player. If the hunted token goes to all players, after all of them being KO'd at least once, you lose. Like, that's his scenario, basically. You're just kind of trying to stop him while dodging him and healing as much as you can. A super cool thematic thing. Juggernaut is a pain in the ass.
I haven't had the opportunity to play against Juggernaut yet.
Yeah, if you know who the Juggernaut is, you know he's just a tank that runs through objects. He's unstoppable. They translated it perfectly into the game. So, Juggernaut, his motive is just running and destroying everything. He doesn't have like a specific thing. You just can't get KO'd from him. That's it. You just got to survive long enough to stop him.
Didn't in the comics they make him the brother of Xavier?
He is Charles Xavier's brother. He's not a mutant. He has like a special crystal that gives him a strength, but he's not a mutant. Nerd talk. He's not a mutant. Yeah, he's Charles Xavier's brother. So he just runs around the board, and what's special about him is when he moves around, if he runs through the space where a hero is, he does damage to them. Normally, they'll
That's
move
where you land, yeah.
Yeah, it's wherever they move and land. If you're there, they do damage. This one, he'll run, smack you, and if he stops where you're at, does like double the damage. So he's literally...
Good golly.
Yeah, he's literally just a tank that you just kind of got to dodge. Mystique has a Senator Kelly token on the board. So she's trying to take like shape of Senator Kelly and become the senator, but she needs to kill the real Senator Kelly, so you kind of have to move and protect this person. So that's basically you're one man down, because you have to have one character that's just running and dodging and moving around, trying not to get hit, because if she hits Senator Kelly once,
game over.
He's done. He's game over.
Damn.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. And then Magneto is pretty straightforward as a villain. He wants to have civilians in every location, and then they flip to henchmen.
Yes. Yeah, that's what's unique about him.
Yeah, so it's tough because, as we kind of said, one of your goals is to destroy a certain amount of
thugs,
henchmen, or save civilians, where he doesn't have as many henchmen to pop out. You will immediately have an influx of civilians that you're saving, but you're like begging for henchmen to come out, or you have to stop his like scenarios on each location. So it's cool again, where it's tough. Where like the other Marvel United, you would lose just from kind of run out of time. Like they were all like very time based villains. This one, it's like, oh, you got to be moving, and you really have to be coordinating, which is what we liked about the first one so much. This one, it's even more communication between people. You feel like you're on a team. You feel like, all right,
we're the X-Men.
Wolverine, like, you got to go chop this dude up. Like, Professor X, like, do your thing. And Psychic blast me some special tokens. So,
so what are the locations? Do you want to read the locations to everybody? There's a thick stack of locations.
Yeah, we got, I mean, Geonosia, which is the
Mutant Island.
The Mutant Island. We got the X-Jet, so you're just kind of flying around, which is cool because it's thematic. At the end of your turn, if you're there, you could just jump to another location. So it's basically you're flying. Muir Island, which is the research center for, I think, the mutant cure, I forget. And then Sentinel Space Station, where they captured mutants and are making Sentinels, if you know anything about them. The Weapon X facility, where they made Wolverine. Xavier Mansion. That's something new they added. I don't remember if they had like a healing location in Marvel United.
I don't recall, because that does feel more unique to this one.
Yeah, so this one, you go there and you can heal. So your life is your cards. When you take damage, you lose a card that you have access to. This one, you could redraw back up to 3. The Hangar Bay.
And when you lose all your cards, you just get knocked over for a turn.
Yeah, you get knocked over for a turn.
So it's not devastating. However, if you are getting towards the end of the game, it can be.
And the villain's special activates, which could be devastating. But that's kind of it. I mean, there's not
an entirely a lot to discuss about this game that we haven't previously covered.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still good to talk about because this game's awesome.
Yeah, and it's in retail. So it's not like some Kickstarter exclusive thing. Like if you enjoyed Marvel United, you're on the fence because Marvel United you enjoyed, but it wasn't a challenge. This one is a challenge. And it's great to mix, having the Hulk and Wolverine together to fight.
It's what
Magneto.
we love.
Yeah,
it's what we love combining, and it's just a very solid game, a great game, easy to teach. There's a lot of components to it for sure to set up, but this is one that
it's not a grueling setup though. I don't think
it's annoying because of all the little pieces.
Yeah, there's a lot of chits. There's a lot of stuff to set up.
There's just a thing in the middle, and you got to search for them. So that is a little annoying. But once you're set up and get going, and it's a great game. I absolutely love this game, and I'm glad it's part of my collection, and I think it should be a part of anybody's.
Yeah, especially if you are a fan of Marvel properties. I think this is a great game. I think it's a great game for kids, as we kind of talked about before. There's not a lot of text. It's a lot of iconography, so you can be like, all right, I need you to play a Wolverine card with a fist on it.
Yeah.
And they don't have to read anything. They just go, okay, here we go. And I think it's a good family game as well as a gamer game, as well as a gateway gamer game.
Yep.
I think this is a very easy game to teach and play and set up.
Maybe we'll cover down the line more of the expansions and get more into how they're so unique, just like this is a little bit different.
Yeah, it's unfortunate how cool some of the Kickstarter stuff is.
I want the Fantastic Four box so bad.
Yeah, it's not fair. Like it's the one negative I have against Kickstarter stuff, where it's like, if you want to put your game at Kickstarter, go ahead.
But not everybody can afford every tier.
Yeah, and have like maybe one or two exclusive things, and then put it out to retail. Like, don't make it impossible. Like, I understand why.
I get it, but like they could have put the Fantastic. Now the Fantastic Four box was probably a huge draw in terms of
it was the last reveal.
It was the last reveal, but they could have put out, like, they have the Marvel one, they have the X-Men box, and they could have put a Fantastic Four box out.
Yeah.
Charge $10 or $20 more because it's, you get a discount if you did the Kickstarter. But I don't want to spend
or have
$300 just to get the Fantastic Four box.
Have the exclusive figures in there, like you said. If you kickstart it, you get Spider-Ham. If you kickstart a Fantastic Four box, I think
you get the Kickstarter. The scroll was incredible.
Yeah.
That figure is.
But that was the
awesome.
Kickstarter figure, where it's like you can do that stuff, so people aren't missing a figure here and there, but they still have the box. You can still play Fantastic Four.
I would love just to have Fantastic Four and Doom.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, so I think it's unfortunate in that sense for all you peasants that don't have it, because I have it all.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful, but it does stink that.
But that's the nature of the exclusivity and why Kickstarters are very profitable.
Successful, yeah. It's unfortunate. But get this box. It's out in retail. It's on Amazon. I think it's
cheap. $20.
Yeah, it's $30. It fluctuates all the time. Get the base normal box if you don't have it with Spider-Man. It's just the more the better for this game.
Absolutely. Replayability through the roof.
Yeah. Replayability components, art design,
different locations, different villains. The
figures themselves are fantastic.
It just looks great on your shelf.
Yeah, people bought this game just to paint. I still have so many people on Instagram that I follow that are still painting.
I get it. They're incredibly detailed.
Yeah, people do a great job.
Miniatures. It's fantastic.
Speaking of fantastic, our stickers are fantastic. Hats are fantastic. Shirts are fantastic. 5-star reviews are fantastic.
Yes, they are. Some would say they're heroic.
Yes.
Or super.
And we all feel united when we give 5-star reviews. If you're listening and you're not a subscriber, subscribe. If you're a listener who's been listening for a long time, give a review. whether it be 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars. If you go below that, just stop listening. If you're a new listener and you enjoy what we're doing, 5 stars. I'm done asking. I'm begging now. Just go in your app. If you're on Apple, just hit the 5 stars.
Just do it.
It helps us out. It keeps us going. And be sure to check out our TeePublic store for any merch, our Redbubble for any merch, and follow the Instagram, Gateway Gamers Pod. We do have Facebook. We have Twitter. All the stuff for social media. Reach out to us. Follow along. And that's kind of it. Thank you again.
We love you. Thank you.
Thank you, RP. Always fun to get these games played because my wife is over it.
My wife doesn't like these games either.
So it's good to meet up with somebody. My gaming group hasn't been getting together as much.
Yeah. Well,
just busy. Adult things.
Yeah. Seasonal festivities as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you for listening.
Mwah.
And see you soon.
Bye.